The Day Before, a survival zombie MMO that is going to change the landscape of survival MMOs. At least that's according to the developers. But so far we haven't seen anything like that. We've seen some pretty amazing trailers, but since those trailers released almost 2 years ago now, there has been nothing but bizarre marketing strategies, delay after delay for some very strange reasons, and a lot of controversies surrounding the actual development team. But finally, a few days ago, they actually released what they said they were going to release, and that is 10 minutes of raw gameplay footage. Albeit it was a few days, and then a few hours late, it finally did come out, alongside a small clip of somebody actually playing the game, which I think is the development team's tactic of trying to actually show that the game is real. So far though, this 10-minute gameplay sort of trailer, as it were, hasn't given us anything new. But other than showing that it is a game, there is still nothing else that we know. So what we're going to do is have a look at the actual game itself, but before that we'll go into a few things that have happened in the past, just a quick sort of recap in case you don't know. So the game is developed by a company called Fantastic and published by Mytona. They have a few other small titles, one of their main ones being a game called Prop Night, which is pretty similar to Call of Duty's Prop Hunt, which is relatively successful. It does them quite well, but this is something that is so ambitious and so big, especially for a team that is basically an indie team, making smaller games that do relatively well, but at nothing like this scale. They were originally meant to launch in June of 2021, but then that got pushed back all the way to March, which was the release date that we were meant to be seeing very soon. Now, that release, it got delayed once again because, they were apparently taking over 6 months to upgrade to UE5, which I've covered a few games before on my other channel, like Mist Survival, and it's taking a single man that is developing that game, let's say 6 weeks, 8 weeks, to switch over to UE5. So if one man can do it on a game, I mean, obviously the scale of this game is relatively different, so that could be some reason as to why it could take so long. Then they delayed again, over a legal trademark. Somebody actually owned the name The Day Before, and this was actually brought up almost 3 months before they delayed the game. So they've known for a while, and they just chose to keep it quiet and ride the sort of little bit of a hype train and the mystery surrounding the game. Which, to be fair, is actually working, because so many people are talking about it. You type in The Day Before on YouTube, or most platforms for that matter, and you will find very quickly something about the game. But that is where we're at right now. There's a few other little things, but I won't go into them. I may possibly do a larger scale video going over all the controversies and everything about the game, but that'll be something later down the line. It'll be a much harder video and something that I've never actually tried to do. So if that is something that people want to see, let me know in the comments and we will get on it. So we start off with our character just wandering around a little neighborhood, and as you can see, somebody put a lot of effort, or potentially a whole team, into this character's, let's say, lower assets. Reddit it's full of beautiful comments all about those sweet cheeks, and I'm not going to lie, the team knew what they were doing with that. But looks relatively good. Wandering around, obviously all the lighting looks really, really pretty. And the character, I think, looks a little bit meh. Nothing like we've seen in the previous trailers. In the previous trailers, we've seen some very, very detailed, very beautiful characters, but not so much with this one. Even something as simple as the little tag on the back of the bag just randomly floats constantly. The hair isn't actually moving like we've seen with some of the other characters. It is just a clump that flops in and out of the bag. So, already one of those things. Now, next up is the weapons bench. This is the crafting bench where we'll be able to do all sorts along the... anything, crafting all sorts, changing weapons, upgrading weapons, and so on. Now, looks brilliant. Doesn't look anything like we saw in that original trailer. Obviously, I do love that idea of having the weapon mounted on the vise and then you actually seeing things being screwed on, seeing things being moved around. But still, okay system. It looks cool. It seems like there is a hell of a lot of customization, which I think you would expect from a game like this anyway. You want to be able to, especially being able to change and having so many different weapons, you want to be able to tweak them and move around to your playstyle. So the weapons look really pretty. Having all that detail, brilliant. Absolutely love that. It's going to make gameplay, well, if it's real, a hell of a lot more fun, and you'll be able to customize weapons to the absolute nuts. Seeing the weapons in action, I quite like it. I think it looks really, really cool. That silencer sounds nice. Animation looks nice. The reload sounds really good. All the clicks are there. The character movement, all the shadows, they look really, really nice. I do like them. And now, this is something that's very interesting. I do like how they've done this. It's quite cool. The alarm system. Very similar to something that we've seen on Vane before. So you pop in the code. If you've got the code wrong too many times, alarm goes off, zombies come running. Now, unfortunately, we won't actually see anything like that in this, because it does seem like they've actually scaled back massively when it comes to zombies. From previous trailers that we've seen, zombies have been everywhere, and you've seen a lot of gunfights. But in this, you don't really see much. It is a genuinely boring gameplay reveal. It is almost 10 minutes of somebody just running around and looking in bags and the occasional shots. So they haven't actually revealed anything new. They have revealed a few things that could be a little bit disheartening, such as there's no dynamic loot. You don't really see anything just sat there that you can go pick up. Everything looks like it's in loot containers. But that could be something that they plan on changing later down the line, but it does seem that we'll be able to search quite a lot of stuff. Which is good, but, you know, there's going to be a hell of a lot of inventory management. We only have what looks to be a small backpack there, so could potentially end up with a bigger backpack, therefore more slots, and not have to worry too much about that later down the line. But we can see so many buildings around as well, but it doesn't look like too many of them will actually be able to get into. I don't see any open doorways or anything that's actually lit up. So, I mean, it is a massive city by the looks of it, the scale of which we still don't know. That is something that they haven't revealed yet. So we don't know whether we're going to be able to go in a lot of the buildings or whether it's going to be a very small amount, similar to like the Division. There's buildings pretty much everywhere, but you can only go in a very small amount. For something like this, though, you'd expect to be able to go in a chunk, let's say, because you've got to be looting, you've got to be wandering around. But it looks like there's just the odd couple of small buildings that we can go into that have actually very small interiors anyway, which is kind of disappointing. The city looks so massive, I thought there would be a little bit of use there, and being able to go into a couple of the either skyscrapers or just some of the bigger ones would be very cool. The gunplay, once again, I think it's nice. Hearing your teammate firing as well, very good. Zombies don't seem to be drawn too much to sound by the looks of this. Obviously, we've only seen a total of, 4 zombies so far. But it doesn't seem like they're coming running when you take a couple of pop shots. Not yet, anyway. There's some also interior footage later on with a bigger zombie, which we'll have a little bit of a look at. See, I like that animation. That's a good one. I think a few of the animations are okay, you know. They're quite good. Now, I do think the world looks quite nice, but as opposed to those trailers that we've seen before, I think it's been scaled back a hell of a lot. Whether that's to actually help with performance for this piece of gameplay, or whether that's because they can't actually keep up to what they did in that very short trailer, and that trailer's obviously been changed and edited a lot to make it look a hell of a lot better than it is. But it does look relatively good, just not as good as I thought it was going to look. And there's our first sort of armoured zombie there, which even the armoured zombies seem to go down relatively easy. So it looks like the world isn't really much of a threat, which is a shame. And for a game like this, obviously early game, you want it to be relatively simple just to get the ropes, which this could may well be early game footage. But as we've already said, they've not let anything go, so we don't know when this was taken, whether this is mid-game, early game or not. I'd assume with all the attachments and all that kind of stuff, it would be a quite maybe mid-game scenario, but we'll see. Now, I do have a very strange opinion on this. I'm very excited for the game, and I have been since they first announced it and showed off all of the trailers. Is this a very, very strange marketing tactic? Are they doing all of this to get more publicity? Because it's working. As I mentioned at the start of the video, you search the day before anywhere and you will get loads. You will get thousands of hits. And it could just be a very odd marketing strategy. They have obviously been promoting some other products throughout the day before's sort of run so far, so it could be marketing for those as well, which it definitely is. They have marketed some stuff that Fantastic have created or they're partnered with, but another thing that makes me think this could be a very, very strange marketing strategy is they're partnered with Nvidia. Why would Nvidia, and they've got a lot of stuff through IGN coming out, why would big names like that put their name to something that is potentially a whole load of shit and a big fake? It could still be very, very well much be fake, and other partners have been strung along, but you never know. Looking on the bright side, right? My hopes are definitely not high anymore, but they've come back up a little bit since seeing the raw gameplay. I do have hopes that it is a real game. Whether it launches and is a complete pile of shite is yet to be seen, which more than likely, judging by everything that's happened so far, could very well be the case. But we'll see. What do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments. For now though, that is it from me at GameWatch, and we'll be back very soon with some more.